Debt repayment almost always fails when a mathematically perfect formula directly collides with the reality of how humans actually behave. Juggling multiple balances across different credit cards and personal loans creates constant decision fatigue. Every month, you're forced to choose which lender deserves your limited cash. That mental exhaustion leads to decision paralysis. Most people end up paying only the minimums, allowing compound interest to quietly consume their future income. Traditional advice treats you like a calculator, suggesting you follow a sequence that looks great on a spreadsheet, but ignores the person actually doing the work. Adopting a plan that clashes with your psychological needs, like your tolerance for stress or your need for a reward, almost always leads to abandonment within the first 90 days. To fix this, you have to identify your money personality. This spectrum ranges from enterprisers, who find security in calculated planning, to socialites and contemporaries, who prioritize living in the moment and tangible experiences. Most people start with 3 standard data points: the total amount owed, the highest interest rate, and the smallest balance. These numbers are useless in a vacuum. A high interest rate doesn't tell you how you'll feel 6 months into a repayment plan when the balance hasn't visibly moved. Finalizing a functional plan requires a 4th variable, your behavioral type, whether you're a practical realist or a memory-focused socialite. Trading your psychological blind spots as fixed variables allows you to build a resilient strategy. You might sacrifice perfect mathematical efficiency, but you guarantee the plan survives long enough to reach 0 debt. The Avalanche method ranks debts from highest interest rate to lowest, funneling every extra dollar to that top row. This sorting guarantees you pay the absolute lowest total interest. But the catch is, the highest interest rate debt is often your largest principal balance. Attacking a massive balance first creates a motivation desert. You might make aggressive payments for months without seeing a single account actually close, which feels like you're standing still. This strategy is built for the enterpriser and the realist. These profiles are practical to the core. They find their motivation in data, spreadsheet optimization, and the hard logic of a declining interest counter. Because their primary reward is knowing they are outsmarting the bank's math, enterprisers and realists can survive the motivation desert without quitting. The Avalanche method requires you to derive your momentum strictly from mathematical efficiency, rather than visible milestones. The Snowball method flips the script. You rank your debts purely by balance size, from smallest to largest, ignoring the interest rates. This creates a rapid series of fully closed accounts early on. Each closed account triggers a dopamine response, building the behavioral momentum needed to tackle larger debts later. But this momentum costs you. A rising interest tax counter shows the extra cumulative interest paid over time. This is the optimal path for contemporary and socialite money personalities. These profiles value tangible progress and living in the moment. They struggle with invisible goals and require frequent, visible wins to stay engaged with a long-term task. If forced into the Avalanche method, contemporary and socialite types usually experience burnout and fail because the progress feels too slow to be real. That extra interest paid in the Snowball method acts as a necessary insurance premium against abandoning the plan entirely. Selecting your final strategy requires an honest appraisal of your psychological endurance. Opting for the Avalanche method without strict discipline leads to an inevitable stall. Once you burn out on Avalanche, you revert to minimum payments, which destroys the very mathematical advantage you were trying to gain. Choosing the Snowball method ensures you maintain your behavioral momentum. You simply have to accept the extra interest cost as the literal price of staying in the game. This framework maps your psychological needs to a sustainable path. Need quick, visible wins? A yes routes you to the Snowball method. If not, are your interest rates above 15% and can you endure delayed gratification? A yes makes Avalanche your target. Aligning your repayment strategy with your money personality removes willpower from the equation. It trades the pursuit of theoretical perfection for the guarantee of a finish line.